Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your girl, Elisha, head photographer of Custom Creation Photography, coming to you for another Tips for Tuesday, our Tuesday night live. We welcome the month of July. We are here in July. And so, guess what? We have a new theme this month. We have a new theme for the month of July. This is one of my favorite things that we're going to be providing some tips um, to you with this month. Okay. We're going to be providing some tips. Our theme this month is planning summer celebrations. How about that? Okay. We are going to be talking this month about planning summer celebrations. And actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be the summer, it could be the fall, the winter, the spring, any type of celebration. But since it's July, since we are in the heart of the summer, why not just talk about summer celebrations and provide some tips on planning some summer celebrations, soirees, parties, whatever you have going on? Okay. So we are not going to delay. We are going to get right to it. Okay. And providing you with 5 tips for planning a summer celebration. This is no particular order, however, it is a particular order. Because the number one tip I want to give sets the stage for everything else. Okay? That number one is going to be set a realistic budget for hosting a celebration. Know what you plan to spend. Okay? Know what you plan to spend. A lot of times, I'm just going to say this based on experience. Of course, I've been around. I've been doing events for quite some time. I've attended events. I have taken pictures at events and I have hosted events. The number one thing is setting a realistic budget. Okay. So it doesn't matter whether your budget is $500 or $500,000. Set that realistic budget because that budget is going to dictate everything else. And we want to plan within that budget. Okay. We are not looking and we don't need to make it rain with our celebratory or celebrations in our budget. Okay. It's not necessary. So no matter what, and it's so funny because a lot of times you can talk to people and they'll be like, oh, I really just don't know, or anything like that. You have in your mind exactly how much you plan on spending or how much you do not plan on spending. Let's just keep it real. You might not share with nobody else, but you know exactly how much you don't plan on spending. All right. We're going to head on to number 2, which is choose a theme for your celebration. I think choosing a theme, this is one of my favorite parts because it gets into starting the plan, starting to plan. So for the summer, you might be planning a luau, a beach party, a garden party, a backyard barbecue, a carnival, outdoor movie night. It's the summer, people host those type of things, you know. So or this is one of my favorite, and I've done this for my sons, my boys. I have 2 boys, and they have benefited for years off of the fact that I love planning a nice party and I love putting a theme together. I love being creative with themes. I love all of those things. So for my sons, especially as they got older, I did like color-based themes. So it wasn't like a beach or a garden or anything like that. I would just take favorite colors and I would make the celebration and I create everything around a color-based theme. Okay. So that's always really super fun for me. So choosing a theme for the celebration, that's number 2. Number 3, select the type of food and drink um, for the celebration. Again, food and drink will go back to setting the budget for the party and the type of party. Okay. So that based on what you want to spend in that particular area. And it also could be based on a theme for the party, you know. So if you're having some kind of summer soiree, you might want to do a lot of different summer type of foods and hors d'oeuvres or drinks that are based on your theme, summer style, or different things like that. Also, you want to take in consideration, back to the budget, you know, whether it's going to be a do it yourself or you're doing a potluck, if you're doing it that way, or if you're hiring caterers, or if you're hiring a bartender, then you want to consider that caterers charge per person, you know, for their food. So, and how much they're making for per person based on your budget, based on how many people you're going to be there. That's how caterers charge, as well as consider a bartender who might be mixing up some mocktails for you, whether cocktails, mocktails, or anything like that. So you want to select the food and drinks for your party, and that kind of goes back under setting that realistic budget and how much you want to spend in that area. Okay. Number 4, plan activities for the event. I feel this one is a very important one. Again, these activities are based on the theme, it's based on the budget, and it's based on the type of celebration. Always consider what you want your guests to be doing at your celebration. So when they come on in and stuff, what do you have for them? Think out when you're planning out the celebration, think out what you want your guests to be doing. So when they come in, what is it that you want them to be doing? You know, so really think of some great activities and things that you want to entertain your guests. You don't want your guests at your party, your celebration, and they're sitting there scrolling their phone because they're bored and they don't have anything to do. You know, I always think when folks have photo booths, I think photo booths are great ways to entertain your guests. If they're dressed up, if you have a theme and people are dressed up for the party and everything like that, they are wanting to, hey, have somebody there to photograph. Have a photo booth, a 360, whatever. That gives them something to do. Also, a lot of times you might have where they're able to a food bar, you know, where they're able to make up their own food, such as like a taco bar. I've seen mashed potato bars. I've seen macaroni bars. I've seen waffle bars. I've seen, you know, drink stations where you can kind of mix up your own drinks and stuff like that. So you want to think about giving your guests something to do at a celebration. Okay. And then outside of those activities, there's other things, you know, whether it be a signing board, whether it be advice cards or different things like that. Engage your guest in activity so that they have something to do and they're not just coming to your celebration and not having anything to do. And they're just scrolling their phone and they're maybe waiting on the guest of honor to appear. Maybe it's a birthday party and you're waiting on the guest of honor to come. And so they're waiting for food. They're waiting for everything. Okay. So think about coming up with some activities that will engage your guests, okay? Because you want them leaving and having just a great experience at your celebration. All right, and the fifth tip that we have is to choose a venue or a space that will accommodate your celebration. This is very important. Excuse me. This is very important. Um, Choosing the right venue and space because you want to be able to accommodate those guests. Okay. So you want to make sure the flow is going to be right. You don't want to make sure everybody's tight and they can't move around because the space is not big enough. And you know, you said you know, the space holds 30 and maybe 100 people showed up. The flow's not right. You might have something at your house and think about seating and making sure people can flow and move around. You don't necessarily want people having to eat out of their lap with their plate. You have to think in terms of all of these things. Also, another thing too to think about too is parking. Think about your guests when it comes to parking. Some venues, maybe they offer valet parking, possibly if they have small parking lots or anything. But think about your guests and how they park. Just think about all aspects. If you're anything like me, I don't want my guests, I want them to come out and enjoy. I don't want to give them any problems prior to them coming. Just I want you to come out. I want you to have a great experience and walk away like, wow, that was great. And so we want to just provide these tips so that you can have these celebrations that's going to wow your people, wow your guests. You ever been to a celebration and you're like, wow, that was great. Or it's like, wow, I didn't even want to leave. I can't believe it's over, because you had such a fantastic time. And that is because that host, that planner put together something that wild and entertained their guest. They thought about every aspect. Okay. So this is what we're talking about, and this is what we want to do for our summer celebrations. We want to provide you with tips so that your guests walk away like, wow, that was fun. Okay. Again, this month we are doing planning summer celebrations. Today, we are providing 5 tips for planning that summer celebration. This is just week one, okay? We got more to come, okay? So I'm just going to go quickly through those 5 steps once again. Number one, setting that realistic budget. As well as I know, we know how much we plan on spending. We know. So we don't want to even say, when we calling up that vendor, or we calling up some entertainer, DJ, photographer, or anything like that, and talk about, hey, how much you charge? Then be like, oh no, that's high, or no, you got any? No, their price is their price. You just remember what your budget is and what you want to allot for that particular service. Okay. It's not too high. It's out of your budget. That's because you want to allot the right amount for whatever that service is. Number two, choose a theme for your celebration. Always so fun. Number three, select the type of food and drink for your celebration. Number four, plan activities. Think about that. Plan activities for your guests, theme, budget. Think about the celebration, okay? And number five, choose a venue or a space that accommodate your celebration. Make sure you have proper seating, proper parking, all of those things that will give your guests a great experience for coming out to celebrate with you. I am your girl, Elisha, once again, head photographer of Custom Creation Photography, loving all things creative. Glad to bring to you tips for Tuesday, this Tuesday, planning a summer celebration. Stay tuned because guess what? We got more to come this month, more to come. So, as always, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Have a great night.